Hello and welcome back to my live broadcast. For those of you who come back every single week, for those of you who are just seeing me for the first time, welcome. Welcome to all of my replay viewers. I'm Shanta Prince, and I help women coaches build their personal brands, create their high ticket offers, and get paying clients. So that means I work with women on a daily basis, I talk to women on a daily basis. And so today I want to talk about three relationships that need to change so you can grow your business. And this is for those of us, and we know, everybody probably experienced some of the things that I'm getting ready to talk about, but specifically, I want to talk to the women because there are so many things that we do on a daily basis, and we understand relationships and how relationships can hinder us or they can cause us some serious growth, right? So when we look at relationships, it's always about, okay, is this relationship serving me or is it not, right? I don't think there's an in between. Either the relationship is serving you in some way where it's helping you to grow, it's helping you to become better, or it's providing you something that you need, or it's a mentorship kind of relationship where you're helping someone. Um, but when I'm talking about relationships right now, I'm talking about relationships with people. But what I'm getting ready to talk about right now is about relationships with mindsets when it comes to growing your business. So there are a lot of things that we have to change when we want to grow a successful business, and I think that so many people don't. Hey. So many people don't think about these things when you're starting a business, right? So, like, I know you probably have, started something and you got into it and was like, what have I done? When I went to Navy boot camp, my first day, I said, what have I done? Why did I even come here? I remember calling they give you a phone call, just like you would, just like when somebody goes to jail, you get one phone call. It's the same way in Navy boot camp. You get one phone call. I remember calling my mom and I was like, I was already to burst out in tears because I was like, what have I done? Because when I pulled up, I was in the boot camp van. They had all of us like in this van. And when I pulled up, I was like so happy. I was like, oh, this is gonna be great. And as soon as I got off the van, like there were people like yelling and screaming in my face. And I was like, wait a minute now. Like, I didn't sign up for this. I didn't sign up for this part. But after my first week of boot camp, I had a really awesome time at boot camp. It actually turned out to be a lot of fun. But that first week, I did not know what I was in for. I was like, okay, like what have I done? So I said that to say that we all get into things, we all start things, and sometimes we're like, okay, what have I done? But when you're called to business, it's a lot of responsibility. First of all, and that's one thing to remember. Good afternoon. One thing to remember is that business is a responsibility, and I think a lot of people see it as an option. Or, "Oh, I'll get to it when I can," or I'm not ready right now. And we have all of these reasons why we're not doing business. And the interesting thing is that a lot of times you're called to it, but you're still not giving your all to it. And that that's that's not a good thing, right? You're called to it, but you're not giving your all to it. And that's a different thing from being called to something. Like when you're called, it's like it's a different level of responsibility. And for many of us, like we're not just doing this just because we're doing this thing because we're called to do it. And there are lives that we are called to change. And a lot of that, there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. So when you're called, doing business is not optional. It's a responsibility. And so with that, I don't know how many people consider the transformation that it takes just to start and grow a business, right? Your business grows when you grow. And the reason why you have to consider when you're an entrepreneur and you're called a business and you're running this business, you have to also go on this entire journey of self-reflection and taking a look at things and seeing how you respond to things and constantly looking at yourself and looking for places where you need to grow and improve. Your business grows when you grow. And so many times that comes with us needing to change certain things that we're doing in our lives so that we can give our all to what we're called to. And so the first thing I want to talk about is we're talking about three relationships that need to change so you can grow your business. And I use the example of relationships with people because we all understand that. We all understand relationships with people. Some relationships with some people are easier than some relationships with other people, but we do understand relating to other people. So the first relationship that you have to change if you want to grow your business is you have to change your relationship with fear. And the reason why I say that is because fear is something that never fully goes away because fear comes up at every level. It can come up when you're starting. And then when you start and you get to a certain level, it can come up again when you're going to the next level. It's something that never fully goes away. And so what we have to do is we have to change our relationship with it. And some people have different relationships with fear, and you can identify that because some people do what I call do it afraid, right? We've all probably heard that saying, do it afraid. That is a relationship with fear. That means I feel the fear, but I'm doing it anyway. That's a whole different type of relationship, right? Some people feel the fear and they do nothing. When you're in business, guess which one you have to do? Guess which one you got to work on being able to master? You have to be able to feel the fear and do it anyway, right? If anybody if any person says they have no fear at all, then I would have to really question that because every human being has some kind of fear some in some way shape or form. Now of course, we have different things that we're afraid of. Like for example, I was talking with someone, and I was talking about how when I was in the seventh grade, I used to be like really feeling some kind of way when I had to get up in front of people and speak. But when I was in the seventh grade, I was in honors English, and my English teacher, she just kept making us get up and do these presentations. When I looked at the syllabus for the year, I said, "Look at all these presentations we have to do this year." And I literally decided that I said, I'm not going to be afraid to speak anymore because it's too stressful for me to be afraid to get up in front of the class and speak. So I'm just not going to be afraid anymore. And so from that point on, I got up to do presentations in front of my class without fear because I got tired of going through the mental turmoil of having to get up and do a presentation. So I just said, you know what, I'm just not going to be afraid anymore. To this day, I am not afraid to speak in front of crowds of people. I've spoken in front of crowds of all sizes, even up to the thousands. And so because of that, that's an example of like one thing. Okay, I could tell you that I'm not afraid of speaking in front of people. However, there are some things that I am afraid of, right? So we all have the fears, but the thing is, what is our relationship with that fear? Are you a person who can be afraid and still do it? Can you still do it with your knees shaking? That's the kind of mindset that we have to have when you're in business. Yeah, feel the fear because we're human, right? A lot of times when you're feeling fear when it comes to growing, when you're feeling fear when it comes to growing your business, fear is really just your mind saying, okay, we haven't done this before. This is something new. And that really is all it is your mind realizing, okay, wait a minute, this is not comfortable anymore. Like we're going into the deep, right? If you can't swim and you're in a pool and you're in a place where you can stand above the water, but you start drifting to an area where you can't stand above water, that's kind of scary, right? Your mind will be telling you, girl, get out of this water because we get ready to drown, right? So fear is like that. When you're stepping out of something that you're familiar with and you're moving into new territory, your mind's way of alerting you is saying, listen, look, now I don't know what all this stuff is. I don't recognize all this stuff. This is a little scary. But you have to be able to feel that fear and lean into it. Sometimes the very thing that you're afraid of is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Think about that for a minute. Sometimes the very thing that you're afraid of is exactly what you're supposed to be doing. Okay. So when it comes to business, There are some fears around, first of all, being seen. And I understand it. I understand how difficult it could be to get in front of people, right? As a matter of fact, we were just talking about this with my clients. My clients and I, we were just talking about this a couple of nights ago. We were talking about fear and how like your past can hold you because you're so afraid of your past coming out and people knowing. And at the end of the day, we all have a past. We all have a story. We all have some stuff that we've done, but our past does not determine our future. And so the fear of being seen is something that you're going to have to face and work through when it comes to growing a business like what we're growing, right? If you're in the coaching or consulting space or the mentorship space, like the fear of being seen is something that you really have to work through. And like if you sell a product, like like most of you know, I sell a barbecue rub. Like I could go if I wanted to, I could just go and push that product and just sell the product, and you could never see my face, and people would still buy the rub and never see my face. However, in this kind of business, you are the product, right? So how do you sell a product without showing the product? Right? So you got to be seen and you have to show up and serve your audience. Think about this. How much sense does it make to hide yourself from the very people that you're called to serve? How much sense does it make to hide yourself from the very people that you're called to serve? If you have a fear of being seen, that's going to get in the way of reaching the people who you're called to serve. And remember when we talked about earlier how business is a responsibility. When you're called to this mountain of business, you have a responsibility to serve. You have a responsibility to sell, because if you are a believer and God has called you to business, do you think God called you to business to not profit? A business is needs to profit so that the business can keep going, right? So a part of being in business is selling. And so these are just, so the stuff that I'm talking about today is these are things. This is not to judge anybody, because we anybody's in business. Look, we all been there. Y'all, I usually look, we all have these things that we have to work through. This is why I said that sometimes you get started and you're like, listen, I don't even know what I got myself into. It is a huge personal development journey, and you have to constantly be growing so that your business can grow. Your business grows when you grow. Okay. So think about the people who you're called to serve, and and your responsibility to them, and your responsibility as a person who is called to business. You have certain responsibilities. We talked about this with my clients. We talked about how you have a responsibility to get your message out. If you are an entrepreneur and you are coaching, consulting, mentoring, you are a messenger, and you have a responsibility to get the message out. Okay. Any messenger, if you have a message, any person has a responsibility to deliver message. If the mail truck is coming down the street, they're coming because they have some messages that they have a responsibility to deliver. And you as a messenger, you have a responsibility to deliver the message. That means you got to be seen, right? That means there's some things that you got to do, some things that you got to put in place so you can get your message out, right? It is a responsibility. It's not an optional. And I believe that I've been talking about this with one of my clients. We talked about getting prepared because you guys, I don't know if you know this or not, but for my fellow believers, if you read your Bible, you know that there's some things that are coming that I think so many people are not prepared for. And honestly, right now is a great time to be in business. It is a great time to show up and serve people. We talk about how during this time, lots of people are retracting, they're closing their businesses down, they're standoffish, right? But really, this is the time to be serving, this is the time to be leading. And so, this is a time of growth. And there are some things that are coming in the future that focusing on growing your business will have you prepared for those things that are coming. So it is a responsibility, and we've got to stop seeing business as optional if you're called to this thing. If you're called to this, then for you, business is not optional. Okay. Y'all know how you ever like seen somebody do something and they got away with it, but then when you do it, you get in trouble. Right? You can't you can't do certain things, you can't get away with certain things because it's like, ooh, it worked for that person, but when I tried it, I got in trouble or I got caught, right? That's how you know you're called, right? Because you can't do what everybody else does. When you're called to business, you can't treat your business like it's just an option. Like I'll get to it whenever I can, right? You have to make time to grow your business. Even if you work a full-time job, there's some things that you can do to still grow your business. You can give your time to your job and still make time in your schedule to focus on your business, right? That's what we do with our responsibilities. We don't neglect our responsibilities, but when we see something as an option, then it's like, okay, well, I'll get to that when I can, right? So fear of being seen, that hinders your visibility, and it hinders your ability to reach the people that you're called to. And fear of past failures, past mistakes, all those kinds of things, which is going to lead me to the next one. But we all have fears that we have to deal with every single day, you guys. Like when you see people who are doing awesome things, right? That doesn't mean that they didn't have fear. It means that they worked through the fear. They did it anyway. And that's what you got to do. You got to be able to work through the fear. Exactly. If you treat your business like a hobby, it will pay you like a hobby. So if you feel afraid, that means that you're human, right? None of us, all of us, we all have the same amount of time in a day. The playing field is leveled, right? When you look at other people and you say, well, she can do this because of this, or well, she had this, and that's why she was able to do it. And then you're looking at yourself and you're coming up with reasons why you can't do it. Those are just excuses. Those are excuses that are masking your fear because all of us have 24 hours in a day, right? So, for example, I have two children, I have a husband, I have two other businesses besides this one. So, I've got a lot of stuff going on, right? But maybe you don't have children, but maybe you got something else going on. Maybe you're working on your doctorate degree or something, right? You can't look at me and say, "Well, she's got a husband, so that's why she can grow her business." Because, you got stuff going on too, right? I've got stuff going on, you got stuff going on. We all have things going on, but we all have the same amount of time in a day, right? We all have 24 hours in a day. The difference is what do you do with your 24 hours? That's that's where the game changes. What are you doing with your 24 hours? I always tell people if you have enough time to watch TV, you have enough time to grow a business. Y'all, like I during the week, I don't even really watch much TV during the week. I usually watch TV on the weekends because I'm busy with my purpose during the week. Weekends are my time to just really relax. Like tomorrow, I'm mostly operate on a 4-day work week. Tomorrow is my time to kind of wind down, answer my clients' questions, create things that I consider fun. But I don't watch a lot of TV because during the week, I'm really busy focusing on my purpose, serving my clients, growing my businesses. But I do have my downtime and my time to rest. I was just telling this to one of my clients like a week ago. I was like, you gotta rest. You have to recharge yourself because we're human, right? So if you got time to watch TV, you got time to grow your business, right? So think about what's more important to you right now. Look, listen, Netflix is not going anywhere. Okay. Netflix is always going to be there. I just decided that when I see people on TV, when I see people acting, I see them, I consider them as people who are living their dreams, right? Because they probably dreamed about being on the big screen one day. And to me, y'all, don't talk about me, y'all. But you may agree, you may disagree. But when I see people on TV, I feel like these people are living their dreams. And if I sit around all day and watch TV, what I'm doing is I'm sitting around all day watching people live their dreams, and I'm not working on mine. Okay. Netflix is not going anywhere. All those, listen, TV is always going to be around. But if you're called to something, you may have to change up some things so you can focus on what you're called to do. And then you can have time in your schedule where you relax and you can be fully present. Listen, when I watch TV, I want to be fully present. I don't want to be thinking about, oh my goodness, I forgot I was supposed to send this email, or I just want to be fully present, right? Because I use I'm always thinking and coming up with ideas. So sometimes I want to do something that doesn't require me to think. And I want to be able to be fully present. And so when you're working on your schedule, you're able to take your time, your 24 hours in a day, and manage it wisely so you can have the things that you want to have and do the things that you want to do, okay? So your relationship with fear is going to have to change so you can grow your business. You're going to have to learn how to feel the fear and do it afraid, right? You're going to have to be able to do it with your knees shaking and make a difference in people's lives, okay? That's what courage really is, right? Courage is standing up and doing what you need to do even when you feel afraid. So here's the other relationship that you got to change, right? You have to change your relationship with failure if you want to grow your business. Y'all hear me talk all the time about how many things I've launched that did not work. How many times I launched something that failed or flopped, right? And so I talk about these things lightheartedly now, but when I was in them, it was like so stressful and so difficult. However, I can speak about these things now from a different viewpoint because now I've overcome those things. And now, guess what? Because I've launched so many things that didn't work, now I'm able to give my clients some really valuable insight about what works and what doesn't work. So when they're asking, like, what about this? What about this? I'm like, yes, that's great. This will work. And if they're asking about something that I know does not work, then I'm able to tell them, listen, this won't work because blah, 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 blah. I'm big on giving the reasons behind things. This will work because blah, 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 right? And I'm not talking about, people needing different launch strategies and things like that, but I've come to know what works. So when you have a specific kind of relationship with failure, I will tell you that there was a season in my business where I stopped selling anything because the struggle was real. I had failed so much at selling that I was just like, I'm not selling anything. So I kind of crawled into a cave and I stopped selling because I'm like, every time I sell something, it just doesn't work. I create these products, they don't work. But guess what? Now I know what does work. I know how to find out what products to create that will sell. And now it comes to me so easily when I'm working with my clients and I'm like, oh, this will, like, I can identify the things out of what they're trying to do that will sell because I've made so many mistakes. Some people just have an eye. You know how people have an eye for like fashion and what shirts go together and what earrings to wear and all of that. That's how I am with my clients. Like I have an eye for what sells. I have an eye for what gifts they have that they can monetize pretty quickly. So when the truth is when people fail a lot, they're usually the ones with the greatest growth. And I know I was just listening to someone this morning. She was talking about how she's like, I'm okay failing privately, but I don't want to fail publicly. And here's what I always say to that. When my clients say things like that, I'm like, yes, like if you're in business, people are going to see you make mistakes. They're going to see you launch things. They're going to see you, post the wrong link from time to time. Like they're going to see you not sell anything. Yes, that comes with the package. They're going to see your mistakes, but they're also going to see you elevate. They're also going to see you come up. They're also going to see you grow. So what they're actually seeing is your growth, your development as the amazing businesswoman or gentleman that you see, the vision that you see, okay? So people who have so failure can hinder you or it can cause you to grow. Because if you take a failure and do like what I did when I was like, I just went in a cave and I was like, I'm not selling anything right now. So that can happen, or fear can or failure can put you in a place where you're like, that didn't work. Let me try this again. And that's what I encourage my clients to do. Okay, well, that didn't work. Let's find out why it didn't work so that we can figure out what does work. And so your relationship with fear will determine how quickly you get to success. If you have a failure and you do the crawl in the cave method, like what I did, It's going to take longer for you to be successful. But if you have a failure and you say, okay, let me go back and like figure this thing out why it didn't work. You guys, like everybody, even like the most successful entrepreneurs on this planet, all fail. Like every single day, so many mistakes. Like if I told y'all all the mistakes that I made on a regular basis, like we would be here all week. The difference is now I understand that okay, that didn't work. Let me figure this thing out. Let me go. Failure brings insight to how you can do it better next time. And this is why I encourage my clients to do things over and over and over again because you get to a place of mastery where you've mastered this thing now. It's like, okay, I failed so much at this that now I've become a master at it, right? So your relationship, think about what your relationship with failure has been and how you can change that and use your failures as steps to get to where you're trying to go. So, and I know that this is a really important part because I think a lot of people don't move forward in business because they're so afraid they're going to fail. And I'm here to tell you, yes, you are going to fail, right? You are. We all are. We all do. Every single day, we fail. We make mistakes, right? And what I mean by fail is when something doesn't turn out the way that you want it. And so, but failure, your past failures don't they don't have much to do with your future success except for lessons learned. And here's what I mean by that. Let me just explain that a little bit further. What I'm saying is your past failures don't mean future failures. And I think like sometimes that's what we think. We think, oh, I failed at this, so I know this is just not going to work. Do y'all know how much I have recreated failure in my business because I thought that because I failed at this one thing, that this other thing over here is going to fail too? You can recreate that thing in your business and in your life, right? When you do what I call romanticize something, when you make it bigger than what it is, let me tell you something. When you're re rehashing something, your brain doesn't know if you're rehashing something or if this is actually happening. Think about the stuff that you put yourself through by romanticizing things, by replaying it over step by step by step, right? If you have things that you failed at and you keep replaying that thing over and over and over again, then you will continue to repeat that pattern. And this is why you have to change your relationship with failure. So that when you do fail or when something doesn't turn out the way you want it to, you can take a step back and say, okay, let me figure this thing out. How can I do this better next time? How can I fix this next time? And you'd be surprised at how much you grow. Okay. And then finally, you want to change your relationship with work. You want to change your relationship with work. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because y'all, like, remember when I talked about how sometimes you get into something and you don't realize how like what you stepped into. When it comes to entrepreneurship, it is work. It takes work. I'm not one of those people to tell you that everything is peaches and cream all the time. I will never tell you that. What I'm going to tell you is it's hard work, but you can do it though. But it is hard work, right? So I'm always letting my clients know, listen, when you get into this part right here, this is going to be tough. So you got to get your mind ready because you're going to have to put some work in this area right here. I'm always getting them prepared because I want them to understand like it takes work. When you see people like, oh, I just had a $1 million launch. I promise you that $1 million launch came out of like millions of different failures, millions of mistakes, right? And so when we see that, we think, oh, when I launch, I'm going to make $1 million, right? But we didn't realize that their success was 5 years in the making, 6 years in the making, 15 years in the making, 10, 15 years of falling down and getting back up again, right? And so we really have to have to understand that. But the thing with entrepreneurship, it does take work, y'all. This is not easy. And it's not for the faint of heart, right? So the thing is, it takes work. And when I get on with my clients, I meet with my clients every Tuesday night. I love to get on with them because these ladies are working. They are working, they're serving their audiences. And I love to get on with them because what my role is in their lives and in their businesses is to be the guide to help them to do the work better, to help them avoid certain mistakes. Because We can't avoid all mistakes, but we can avoid some, right? And to help them to achieve success faster. But the beauty of it is my clients, I'm so thankful for them. They are not afraid to work. They are not scared of the work. And that's the approach that you got to have. You have to be willing to roll up your sleeves. This is something my mom used to tell me. Roll up your sleeves and fight, right? So you really have to roll up your sleeves and do the work. If we talk about, like we talked about, creating content on every week, right? One of my clients is getting ready for launch. She jumped right into creating weekly content, and her content is amazing. I have another client who just jumped into creating content. Why? Because this is us serving. Serving your creating content is a part of serving your audience when you're in this space. It's a responsibility, right? You're serving your audience. They're getting to know you. They're seeing your expertise. You're demonstrating who you are and what you stand for so they can make a decision on whether or not they want to work with you, right? So these ladies are not afraid to do the work. And so when it comes to putting forth the work, yeah, sometimes sometimes there are going to be some things that you do in business that come easier than others. For me, content comes easy for me, right? So that's going to be something that I'm able to do quickly. And so there's going to be some things. Now, there's some other things about business that I really don't like, right? When it comes to doing all the legal stuff, I'm like, thank you, Lord, for the lawyers, right? Thank you, Lord, for the lawyers who've already, they understand what I need to do, and so that's why I lean on them when I need to do that. That part is not fun for me, right? But we all have stuff in business that we have to do that are not so fun. But then the fun parts outweigh the not so fun parts. So it all balances out. But you have to be willing to do the work that it's going to take to get you where you need to be. One of my clients did a workshop last month. I think it was last month. And we chuckled about it together because she was like, that was some work. Like that was a lot of work, but she crushed it. She did an amazing job. Her the people who signed up for her workshop had a blast. And guess what? Some of those people from her workshop are going to become her clients. But the thing is, there was a lot of work that went into her being able to pull this workshop off. However, the payoff for her was amazing. And so you gotta focus on, and I feel like this is such a really important topic because sometimes when I'm talking to someone and they're considering joining my program and I'm talking about strategies and things like that, if they're frowning and if they're uncomfortable with doing the work, that's not someone that I want to work with. And that's just the truth, right? I can love everybody, but that don't mean I have to work with everybody, right? And the reason why is because I want to work with people who want to do the work. My clients, they'll do the work. They just need to know what to do. And there's a difference, right? There's a difference between, knowing what to do and not doing it. That's one thing. And then, but you could be in a place where you're like, I want to do the work. I just need to know what the work is. What is the work that I need to do? And that's how my clients are. They're like, okay, listen, when they tell me this is what I want to do, then I'm like, okay, well, this is what it's going to take, right? So when we talk about, okay, what do you want to accomplish? How many clients do you want to get? So I'm a numbers person. So when they say, well, I want 6 clients, I'm like, okay, if you want 6 clients, you got to do A, B, C, and D, right? That's what they need from me. Okay, what do I need to do? This is what I want. What do I need to do? What's the work? Right? Not you can't run away from the work. There's no way to avoid the work. And so you really got to have that in your mindset to where, I got to get this stuff done. And the thing is, yes, a lot of the things that I teach is I help women to build a business around their purpose, how they're already designed, right? You don't have to be anything more, anything less. You really can build a business being yourself. And that's what I help my clients to do. However, while that sounds really easy, there's still a lot of work to go along with it. And that's the one thing that you cannot be afraid of if you want to be successful in business. So we just talked about 3 relationships that you got to change if you want to grow your business. We talked about your relationship with fear and changing your relationship with fear and having the mindset of, yes, this is scary, but I'm doing it anyway. Okay. The second relationship is your relationship with failure. And when you change your relationship with failure, you already know you're going to make mistakes, but you fall down and you get back up again, right? Not fall down and crawl into a cave, right? We're not doing that. Fall down and get back up again. Making mistakes should be expected. Give yourself some grace and make the mistakes and you get back up again. And that's how your greatness is baked, right? When I go to so I bake, like, I like to bake cookies, I like to bake cupcakes and things like that, but sometimes I don't feel like baking, right? So what I do is I go to the grocery store with a bakery. Most of the time it's I go to Publix, and I'm like, I buy their cookies if I don't feel like baking. That's where I go to get my baked goods. But I'm really funny about my cookies, right? So if I don't feel like the cookies were baked long enough, I leave them where they are. My cookies, when I buy the peanut butter cookies, I need them to be baked a certain way. They need to be a certain level of brown. If they are not, I leave them where they are, right? So I like my cookies fully baked. so and I said all that to say that that's how your greatness has to be baked, right? So that thing can be fully grown. And I promise you, in all the times that you make mistakes, when you have what seems like a failure to you, your greatness is being baked, right? Successful people are not without a story, and they are not without failures and mistakes. So we all, like, listen, we're all in this together, right? We're all falling down and getting back up again every single day, right? But you got to give yourself some grace and understand it's a part of growth. Making mistakes is a part of growth, okay? So then we talked about changing your relationship with work and having your mindset prepared to do work, to do difficult things. I was just sharing this with one of my clients the other day. This lady has written 3 books. And she was like, I forgot what we were talking about in the messenger. She said something like, "Oh, I'm not catching on to this. I don't understand." And I said, "You have written 3 books." I was like, "You can do this. You absolutely can do this. You've written 3 books." And so I said all that to say that, like, we've done hard things. We all do difficult things, right? So that translates into business as well. You've done difficult things. You've done hard things, y'all. Like, we already talked about how hard business is. Life is hard without business, right? Whether you have a business or not, life is just hard in general. You've been through some difficult things. You've overcome some difficult things in life that have prepared you to face difficult things in business. And that's what I was getting at with my client, she's like, "Well, I'm like, listen, I'm like, you are amazing. You've written 3 books. Like, you're gonna get through this. You're gonna figure this thing out." So hey, so think about these all of these relationships. And remember when I talked about how entrepreneurship is a personal development journey. And you have to constantly be aware of yourself, where you are and where you're going. Can I tell y'all another secret when it comes to business? We also have a responsibility to heal every single day. Like, healing, partnering with God to let go of things, let go of the relationships that we just talked about, but also relationships with certain people. A lot of these things are difficult. Sometimes you got to make hard decisions. I call them destiny decisions. When you make a destiny decision, you make a decision on something that shifts the trajectory of your destiny. And that's what this thing requires. It requires you to make some destiny decisions. But healing on an everyday basis, because we're human, right? And we sometimes when we make a mistake, there's a wound there, right? If you launch and you don't get any sales, there could be a wound there because you're like, "Well, I'm not launching anymore because I didn't get any sales this time," right? There can be a wound there that keeps you from launching again. If you put something out there and someone says something mean on your stuff, like, I look at, like, comments, and listen, we all get the trolls, right? And it can make you feel like, okay, I'm not putting anything else out there because, I know someone who was talking about, she said someone sent her a message and they were like, "Well, I can't even concentrate on what you're saying because your lashes are just too big." And I was like, people are something else, right? You're always going to encounter unhappy people. They're always going to have something to say, but usually the people that have something negative to say about you, they're the ones who are sitting on the sideline. Because people who are living their purpose, they don't have time to criticize you, right? Because many of us we're in the arena. And people who are in the arena have more humility because we know how hard it is. So many times the ones who are criticizing you, they're not the ones to worry about because they're not in the arena for themselves. They're on the sidelines watching you. So you got to keep doing what you're doing and let them be on the sidelines, right? And so those types of things can hinder you. And that's what I mean by like healing. Like if someone says something to you that's mean, or if you have a launch that didn't work, or if you thought a client was going to close and they didn't close, sometimes you got to take a minute and say, okay, let me work on this, so that doesn't stop me from moving forward. And when I tell you guys, like, you are not the only person who deals with these experiences, but the difference is the relationship. What is your relationship with these things? Do you see things, hurtful things, and you heal from it and move on, or do you stay in the hurt? Remember earlier when I talked about romanticizing things? When you keep replaying something over and over, your brain doesn't know the difference between, is this really happening or are we just imagining that it's happening? And so when you keep romanticizing and replaying things in your mind, what do? You go back there, right? So remember when we talked about relationships at first, like relationships with people. We've all been in relationships with someone, and we romanticize the relationship. We make it bigger than what it really is, and then what do? We end up back in that relationship. It's the same way with your relationship with these things that we talked about. Your relationship with fear, your relationship with failure, your relationship with work. When you romanticize things over and over and over again, you stay stuck in one place. And business is not about being stuck, it's about growth. It is a huge personal development journey. It is a growth journey. And I promise you guys, like, even despite the hard parts, such a beautiful thing. Growing your own business and making your own money is a beautiful thing. Serving people is a beautiful thing. But we got to deal with all of the other stuff every single day, right? None of us are perfect. Not one of us are perfect, right? And that's why we all got to lean on each other. That's why, like, with my client, yep, mean comments and keep it moving. Right. Exactly. I love this. Shake and move, boo. I love like when my clients, when we all get together, it's like we understand, like, listen, we're all on the same planet together. And no one is exempt from having difficult times. No one is exempt from hurt and mistakes. But the difference is, if you have a community of people that you can lean on and say, look, girl, I went through this thing and it was tough, right? And you have some other people who can say, yep, girl, I know, but I went through something like that too. But guess what? We're getting ready to get through this, right? We're gonna keep getting through this, we're gonna keep growing, we're gonna keep changing lives. Because at the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's about the lives you're called to change. And while your greatness is baking, it's not even for you. You go through all this stuff and it's not even for you. It's for the people who you're called to serve. And that is the truth. And that's what I mean by, like, when I told you guys, like, all the stuff that I did wrong, when I see my clients doing it, I'm like, I'm like, we got to shift this, because I'm telling you, that way it's not gonna work. Do it this way instead, right? All the stuff that I made mistakes on, it wasn't even for me. It was for me to be a better service to my clients. And so think about that. Allow your greatness to bake. Allow those things to come so that you can be a better person. Listen to me. If you don't take anything else out of what I've been saying to you, listen to this right here. The faster you fail, the faster you succeed. The more mistakes you make, the more growth comes out of that. And so because of that, we've got to be out here with our little white coats on, testing, trying things, making mistakes. We got to be in the lab, right? Put your lab coat on, get out here, try some things, and look at it and say, okay, why didn't that work? Okay, let me go back and try it again. That's what we really have to do, y'all. Like, we really have to have on the white coats and test and try things. And that's how you discover different things, by trying things and making mistakes. That's how you grow. And that's how you become the expert in the eyes of your ideal clients. We already know you're an expert, but we need them to know that you're an expert. Okay. All right, guys. So this has been awesome. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. If you're not inside of my Facebook group, I want to invite you to join me inside of the Facebook group. It's Purpose Driven Coaches and Mentors on Facebook. If you're watching me from YouTube, come on over to Facebook, join the Facebook group. I've also have so y'all remember, like, a few weeks ago, I was telling you about this funnel that I was working on. And I built this entire funnel, y'all. And so just in case you don't know, I do have a really like nerdy technical side, and I like technology. I have a bachelor's degree in computer studies. That's one of my degrees. But I also was in IT in the Navy for 10 years. So like I got this like nerdy technical side. So I built this entire funnel. It's something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. But I finally finished the funnel. So I'll be sharing that with you very shortly. So if you're over on YouTube and you wanna get eyes on the funnel that I just talked about, that I just finished building. And I'm also going to be showing my clients how to do this as well. For those of you who are interested in funnel, if you don't know what a funnel is, just come on over the group. We can talk about it. But so I built this funnel out, and I have been working on this thing for a long time, and I kept running into obstacles, but I finally got this thing done, and I'm super excited about it. So I'll be sharing more about the funnel as well. For those of you, if for my clients, if you're watching, don't worry. We'll give you the whole inside scoop on the funnel. I believe in teaching everything that I do. When my clients ask, "Well, how did you do that, or what are you using?" I'm an open book with them. So if you guys are watching, don't worry. We'll talk about anything you want to know around funnels. But yeah, so I'll be sharing that with you guys very shortly. So come on over to the Facebook group if you're not watching me from the Facebook group already. And I will see y'all again next Thursday, same place, same time. Y'all have an amazing week. Go out there and crush it. See you soon.